Hello and welcome to the first edition of Ask the Commish on MASL TV. We are just 1 week away from the season kicking off for the 2017-18 season, and many of the teams are in camp already, and the early reports from around the league are full of hope and confidence. My name is Jeff Houston, and I'm your host for today's segment. Now I'm pleased to introduce the Commissioner of the MASL, Joshua Schaub. Commissioner Schaub, welcome to MASL TV.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
All right, before we get started answering questions from the fans, I have just a quick one for you. As you're getting ready to start your second full season as the commissioner, how has your approach to the season changed over the last year?
Well, last year for me was a big learning experience. Obviously, I had experience in sports business coming into this job and obviously in the law. But my travels last year really gave me a lot of experience with the fans, with the arenas, with the operators, with management, with the players. So I take a lot of that information as a baseline to create the new business plan going forward in the years 2 through 5 of the first 5 years of our real vision of 5 years. So we're using last year's experience as a platform to really frame the business plan, understand the constraints of our league, understand the opportunities and the threats that are abound, and we move forward using last year as a baseline. So last year's a huge educational piece that will frame future actions.
Great. Getting into fan questions now. There was one question that seems to be on the minds of many fans. Jesse Costa, Ed Bishop, Jeff Steinmetz, and Jared Norton were just a few who want to know about MASL expansion. They ask about the viability of moving into new markets, as well as reviving classic indoor soccer markets like Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah, so we'll just, in general, discuss our theory regarding expansion. And when I came on as commissioner, there was an overhaul of the vetting process regarding our expansion efforts, including the vetting of potential owners. So there's 4 key ingredients the MASL looks at when we talk about expansion in new markets. One is the populace and the demographics of that populace. Are there enough people to support a professional sports team or another professional sports teams in certain markets? The second is arena. Not only do they have a capacity in arena that is fitting of our league, but really is there arena dates available and prime arena dates? One of the things we're seeing throughout the country is the introduction of indoor lacrosse, the vast expansion of the G League, which is taking up prime arena dates. So as we look at markets, we have to understand what the facility holds in terms of giving prime dates to our teams to allow them to succeed on a revenue basis and really an attendance basis. So the third ingredient being ownership. And, in the history of arena soccer has gone through a lot of owners. We have to be very careful about who we choose, and not just from a wealth and capital basis, but who's really committed to the sport and committed to growing soccer throughout the United States, not on a short-term basis, but a long-term basis, and someone that really has a vision of introducing arena soccer in their markets. Toronto was the first group to really go through that vetting process. They contained all of those ingredients and all of those elements, including the fourth ingredient, the management side, bringing Peter Kovacs. So going forward, the MASL is continuing to look at those 4 avenues and checking the box on those 4 things as we move forward through expansion, both on the East Coast, the Western Seaboard, really filling in the geographic gaps that we currently have.
All right, San Diego Sockers fan Danny Smith, he loved last year's postseason, as I think we all did. And he wants to know what the chances are of expanding the playoffs into longer series.
Yeah, and we've experienced great playoffs the last 2 years. Obviously, the last 2 finals we're extremely proud of. Not only the outcomes of the games and how they came down to the wire, but actually the production put on by both Baltimore and Sonora during the course of that series. Once again, going back to one of my previous answers, the expansion of playoff dates really comes down to those arenas and having dates available for us to play. And it's a big burden on our teams to be traveling back and forth across the country for 5 and 7 game series. We thought about it a lot this postseason and talked about the excitement of the NFL playoffs being one and done, and then mixing that with our traditional model in the championship series of being a best of 3. So are there chances of expanding the playoffs? Yes. Once again, it comes down to a certain number of critical factors that unfortunately are outside of our control, but we hope to gain more traction as our league evolves.
All right, Josh, Joe from Florida, he writes in, he's wanting to know, you've done a lot in your 1.5 years with the league. What are you doing to increase the professionalism and increase the brand of the MASL?
Yeah, and obviously improving the brand for every company is an ongoing effort. Our owners in the offseason took one more step to really improve the minimum standards when it comes to operating our businesses throughout the league. The big step we made this year was on the PR side. Every team now has minimum standards in terms of social media, what kind of channels they have to operate, how often they have to communicate with fans. So that really is going to help improve our our brand and really bring more eyeballs to the sport when digital content is mandated throughout, and really trying to integrate all of those digital feeds into the MASL feed. Furthermore, we're working on making sure that our broadcasts are more uniform. Broadcasts of our games have a great disparity in terms of quality. We're working with an outside vendor to make sure there's more equality in how fans view our games from platform to platform. So we continue with that. And the brand itself will evolve, and it will grow, and it will get better through expansion. It's going to get better through different ownership groups and better operators. Those are ongoing efforts that are going to go on as long as this league is around. So I think it's a great question. It's one that's always pressing on my mind, and one that we continue to push the pedal down on.
On the business side of things, Kansas City Comets fan Gary Jones writes in, and he's asking, how is the league helping teams to promote their sport in their respective cities?
The league has an interesting role in the actual business operations of each team. They are prescribed and really have the authority on their day-to-day activities. What the league is there to do is to govern the league and make sure that all teams participate to create a product. From a league level, in the last 12 months, really, we've worked through creating more digital content on a league level to really promote our players from East Coast to West Coast, from North to South, so the fans, when they have teams visiting, recognize those players. They really become stars among the league. You're going to see more of that this year, more created content, potentially a studio show that we hope to introduce in the next 2 weeks. We've also signed multiple sponsorship deals, which is going to bring capital and revenue into the business to help sponsor and really promote and market our games digitally. So we're going to have more eyeballs on our games in general, which in turn creates more potential sponsorship revenue for our teams. I think the deal with MITRE that was just announced is a great piece that provides a national brand on our league. It's going to bring more eyeballs to individual markets and teams, and it's bringing our MASL ball into consumer households throughout the country. So it's really an effort on a league level to partner with vendors, with sponsors, and to bring fans more content on a league-wide basis, not just in your local market. So those are the efforts we're making to really help teams promote, not only individually on the local level, but really promote the league as a whole.
All right, finally, Michelle Lawrence, president of the Baltimore Blast fan club, writes in, well, actually, she doesn't really have a question. She just wants to extend a personal invite for you to come visit them next time you're in town.
I would love that, Jeff. In fact, for any fan club, whenever I come into an arena, I look forward to meeting all of you. I encourage you to reach out to other fan clubs, create rivalries, talk about the league, be involved, and help other arenas and other teams really get a fan club going if they don't have it. We at the league level will help you do that in any way we possibly can. But I look forward to seeing all our fans this upcoming season. We know it's going to be a great one with a lot of parity, a lot of competition, and a lot of excitement and upsets. So
that's all the time we have today for Ask the Commish. I want to say thank you to Commissioner Schaub for taking the time to speak with us. But before we go, Josh, the season kicks off exactly 1 week from today with a couple great games next weekend. Any predictions for the upcoming season?
Yeah, I predict a lot of parity. I predict a lot of competition. And I predict what people may perceive as some of our weaker teams that did not have great seasons last year, coming out this year strong and really putting a lot of wins on the board. I think much like our season last year, there was a lot of surprises. There was a lot of playoff races that came down to the last few games. We're going to see more of that this year. Great job by a lot of our teams in their offseason to recalibrate, to restock, and really put some great players out on the field. And then, the guys that are traditionally have been in the playoffs, they better watch out because it's going to be a great season. Everyone's coming gunning.
Thanks again for tuning in to MASL TV. On behalf of Commissioner Schaub, I want to say thanks again for watching. And I want to remind you to follow the MASL on Twitter at MASL Arena and on Facebook at MASL Soccer for all of the latest updates. Thanks again. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.